Hey everybody.
Sean and Kelly here, Price and Price Group of eXp Realty. What are we talking about today?
Today we're talking about...
Oh my gosh, the news, yes.
Yes. Okay, so if you tuned into us last week, this would not be a surprise to you. You would already be waiting for it to happen, but everyone is now talking about the fact that interest rates are expected to what?
Start dropping.
Whoa. So this is actually this, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yay for that.
Or, yeah. Anyway, stay tuned.
We're going to go down.
Yes. Okay, so we've all seen the news.
Yes.
So I'm just going to click on one headline here so you can see it. Federal Reserve will cut interest rates 6 times in 2024. So if you've been searching the internet, you've been kind of looking around a little bit.
I've heard 4 and 6.
4 or 6, yeah, different sources. It seems to be a general consensus, though, that it'll be somewhere between 100 and 125 basis points or 150 basis points.
What do basis points mean? We're not going to bore you with that, but it should go down, hopefully, to about...
around the low 6s by the end of 2024. So that's good news. Everybody's been waiting on the interest rates to start dropping. If you think about it historically these numbers may not be 100% accurate, but like over the last 50 years, the average interest rate's been between 6 and 8%.
Yeah.
So we're kind of getting into a normal market.
Happy.
Yeah. And you did some research on like when interest rates drop. So some people are saying, hey, we want interest rates to go back to where they were in the pandemic or at least closely. But you got to be careful what you ask for.
I say totally be careful what you ask for because, so I looked into this, right? And to get back to that beautiful, wonderful 2-point-something and 3%, for the people of just a few years ago were waiting for. Okay, so in the 1930s, when it dropped, that was a result of an answer, right, because of the Great Depression.
Yep.
And then it did it again in the 40s, but this was post World War II.
So economic recovery. Yep.
Then the next time it did it, like it was decades, right? And the next time it did it was in 08 and 09.
Yep, the great financial crisis that was caused by the real estate market.
Right. And then lastly, we just had a global pandemic that created the next one. So I know it's great, and all those people that got those really low interest rates in those times, it's like, okay, good for you. At least there was something good that came out of these nasty situations. But we really don't want to be asking for another nasty situation. So let's all be very grateful for this upcoming, hopefully around 6%.
Yeah. So what does this mean? Okay, so we did a little graph here. And this first arrow is March of 2021. So you can see what the activity was, and then we had this huge year, and that's when we were dealing with multiple offers, bid ups of 5, 10, 15% above asking price, and sellers were actually putting the properties on the market at high prices. So this was not a pleasant time for buyers. Yeah. It was very difficult, and for sellers,
even
it was
well qualified, but just normal normal buyers, people. It was really tough. It was really tough.
We had some buyers in this time that it took them over 40 showings. Our average is about 10 showings. So over 40 showings to finally get a property. And they had put in offers like every weekend. And they were it was crazy. Yeah. And they ended up paying $60,000 over appraised value for this one couple.
And these are even the ones that got a house. Many of them had to go to rentals and everything, which brought up a whole lot of other problems, because if you have pets, good luck with that.
Yep. So what was everybody saying here? Oh my gosh, we have to wait for the market to slow down so that we can get into offers without fighting against 15 other people, so we can possibly maybe get a contingency or two. Well, in March of 2022, you can see that it was close. It slowed down a little bit, but the number of transactions were pretty close. But this is when the interest rates started going up. So you can see the difference between 2022 summer versus 2021 summer. Yeah. So it had a significant effect. There was a gap in the peak of the market here. So this means all of these buyers, and before this, in that March range, we were seeing still multiple offers, and it was heating up. It was chaos again.
It was insane.
So that means that all of these buyers stepped out of the market. And then you can see the number of transactions.
And what he means by step out of the market means decided to wait.
Yeah, because their buying power lowered. They wanted to wait for the interest rates to come back down. So here the complaint was, We need it to slow down. Well, it finally
We
slowed
can't
down.
compete. We're not willing to not get a deal. We're not willing to waive contingencies and all that. So we're going to wait until the market slows down. So then it did. And then there was a new reason to wait.
And then the reason to wait here was, well, now we can't buy the house that we want, or we're going to wait for the interest rates to come down, or we're going to wait for the huge price drop to happen, or the prices to come down.
Because keep in mind how hard it is to have been looking at houses with an interest rate that was really low, to be looking at let's just say $1 million house, and then the interest rates went up. How do you then the very next week start going and looking at an $850,000 house and swallow that pill with joy?
Yeah.
Right.
So it was difficult, and a lot of people had a hard time with that. And then we hit a period where the new buyers were entering the market. They weren't the same buyers from here, so they were a little more used to the interest rate, but there were still fewer of them. And inventory was low because sellers didn't want to sell and go into a rising interest rate. So we had low inventory.
Yeah.
So then everybody in this area has been waiting for prices to come down. Well, prices have not come down. Prices have only continued to appreciate, not at 18% like they did in 2020, 2021, but at a good 3 to 5%. So everybody who's been waiting for the certain like storybook situation to happen has missed out on a lot of appreciation.
And so it's fair to say, evaluate yourself. Like, you don't have to say this out loud to anybody, but are you just on the inside a waiter? Like
a server?
No, like a heel dragger. You know what? I'm just like, you're just so uncomfortable.
Member of the soon as trial. I'm going to buy this as soon as, and there's always a new soon as trial.
So if that's who you are, then we're not talking to you. You're just going to keep doing that no matter what.
All right. So, but if you are serious about buying a house, you really, I would highly recommend that you give serious consideration because of all of this pent up demand. That when we start going, we're already starting to see it happen in the market even before the interest rate news came out. We're starting to get more calls from buyers. They're starting to kind of come back in.
Oh, what about that listing? It was $1.25 million. It just hit the market, and in the listing notes, it said so today is Friday.
Yeah.
This was last night. It was new to the market, and the agent notes. These are private notes that they put in for other agents, and it said. We will be reviewing all offers, expecting non-contingent on Monday. Feel free to do your, what is it called?
The walk and talk inspection.
The walk and talk inspection on Sunday, right? So that just means that it's not an official inspection. You can bring them in and you can do it, but basically don't send us offers that have an inspection contingency.
We're not going to consider it.
This is where we are, right? So at over $1 million house.
And it's only going to start doing that even more and more because we're starting to get back in. We're in the dead market right now, supposedly. There's still multiple offer situations, and we're about to turn that corner, go into the January, February, March, where it starts going up. And if the interest rates start coming down, the bidding wars are about to begin. So,
and it's not an agent taking advantage of the market. That's an agent, really, honestly, who knows what's about to happen.
Yeah, and just
is
preparing
effectively
everybody.
Communicating that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's just really important that this is. I want to say it's good news for buyers, but the fact of the matter is, it's news because you're going to start saving on interest rates, but you're going to start paying a lot more for the properties because you're going to have to bid above.
And why? Because you're going to have to bid against all the other people who had the same mindset you did, right? It's just. I always feel like I'm the only one with this brilliant idea, on like myriad situations.
Yes, of course.
And then I get there, I'm like, oh, you mean somebody's thought of this already? It's like, we're not alone.
That's
there are so many brilliant people in the world that have all been doing what you're doing.
So I always say go against the herd. Okay, so you have a small window right now to go and get into the market before the herd comes. You're going to pay a little bit more in the interest rates, but you can refinance when it comes in later. If you can get a property now, potentially even get your inspection contingency. It's still difficult, but it's possible.
At least a walk and talk.
Yeah, at least a walk and talk, and not have to bid 10, 15% above asking price. It's worth saving $50,000, $60,000 to pay another extra percent on the interest rate, because as soon as they start coming down, the chaos is going to begin. It's already happening. We already have people talking about it.
Yeah, and let me just add in a tiny bit here. And I don't know, I mean, we're about to quickly get out of this, but the sellers that have had listings on the market, when most of them haven't, the ones that have, it's because they needed to more than others, which means, what does that mean, right? They're willing to accept offers with more contingencies because they also have a need. You know, we're going to run into a lot more sellers who are like,
I'm testing the market.
Sure, I'll do it now.
Yeah.
And it might be like a would sell price. Is it like I would sell it and make me move price?
Yep. So there's a window for buyers. If we can get,
we always tell you when the windows are here.
and a lot of people miss them, and we've been pretty accurate with this.
But the ones who get them, it's like we are BFFs now.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, buyers, if you're thinking about getting the market in the next 6 months, do it now. Do it in the next month and a half. Sellers.
I know, and they're asking, well, why would we do it now when interest rates are going to go down to 6% next year?
Well,
answer it.
Okay.
Say it again.
The reason is, okay, let's do a little math, okay? Let's see if I can do this off the top of my head. You buy a property at a 7% interest rate.
Yes.
Okay. And the interest on this property, let's say it's a $1 million property. So your payment on this property is, I'm just going to use simple math, $7,000.
I think we need to talk to you on.
Anyway, you have to figure out, we've got a video we shot
on
this.
For every $50,000 in up or down, it's like a $50 payment on your, we're gonna save that.
We did a complete video on this, and it was just a simple scenario on a $500,000 house that if you had a difference in interest rate, I think it was like of a percentage, it would cost you about $50,000 to wait for the interest rate to come down.
Yeah.
That was in a normal market where you weren't dealing with all the bidding wars. With these bidding wars that are coming on, that could cost you a lot more.
Yeah, because waiting, your price is higher. You cannot change your price later.
Yes.
Doing it now, interest rate is higher, but you can change that later.
Yep,
okay?
That's true.
So that's
just marry the property, date the rate. All right, so for sellers, what does this mean for you? It means that right now, there are buyers out there. We are still on the seller side of the market. There is very, very little inventory. So if you've got a property that you're looking to sell, you can put that on the market. And just like the seller we just discussed, they have that schedule the first day. I went in to schedule our buyers for it to go in and tour it. I did it 3 days before it came off of Coming Soon. The schedule was completely booked. We had one slot.
Yeah.
So there's a huge demand out there, sellers. So if you're thinking about coming on, if you're thinking you want to wait for the spring when you have this flood of buyers, well, you're also going to have a flood of sellers. So the inventory is going to go up. So you're going to have more competition on the inventory side as well. So basically we need to come by and sit down with you, look at your situation and see what might be the best scenario for you with your house, given its condition and so on and so forth.
That is right.
Here we go. We'll see you next week.